Mr. Bakhtiar Aljaf, you are a founder and president of International Institute for Middle East and Balkan Studies. In a few words, how would you describe yourself?
I can describe myself that I came to former Yugoslavia before 35 years as a foreigner. But now I can say that I am like a citizen of Europe and citizen of Slovenia. This is the first. And the second, I am one of the co-founders of the International Institute of FMS.
Thank you. As a journalist, you did a lot of researches in years when the world has faced a first and second Middle East crisis and disintegration of Eastern Europe in late 80s and 90s in last century. Crisis we are witnessing now has certain similarities with the one when Yugoslavia ceased to exist. Which are parallels you can point out?
Yes, I survived the 80s in the former Yugoslavia and in the Middle East. It means I survived the first Gulf War in 1991 when the Allies and the Americans liberated Kuwait. And then the second is after the fall of the Berlin Wall. I think this is very important for the history of Europe and for the history not only Europe, also of the world, because we saw that a new world is born here. And we hope that with the Middle East will happen during the Arab Spring, especially after the speech of President Obama in the Cairo University. I think it's in June 2009. But unfortunately, I think the process of the democratization in the Middle East is stopped there.
And let's go to the crisis you are facing right now. Slovenia is in a situation when the number of migrants and refugees entering is bigger than exiting number. By your opinion, the policy of Slovenian government is the right or it should be better? And if so, in which way?
I think that Slovenian government, they are not prepared in the time to face with the refugee crisis. This is the main problem here. Because they have time. We know that the first refugees when come to Slovenia, it's before 3 weeks. And then from Croatia, they are directly go to Hungary at that time. And in these 3 weeks, they can to find a way and a model to manage with the crisis. The problem of Slovenia is managing with the crisis. But I think Slovenia also, in the same time, the huge problem is that they are respect all the articles of the Dublin agreement, I think. This is, if we look to Schengen and Dublin regulation regarding the refugees, I think it's very difficult now to respect all and to work according to the laws and agreements.
Yes, on a daily basis, we can see simple and mainly poor people heading towards Western Europe looking for their spot on the sun. A month ago, we could see migrants and refugees coming in much better position. They had money to travel and more or less they were mainly young men without families. Is there any reason why it is such a difference?
Yes, now we can to make two definitions. Now, is they are refugees or migrants? It's very, it's a different, it's a lot of difference between these two words, you know. Because if we go to refugees, we have about 7.2 million refugees inside Syria. And we have Syrian refugees, about 2 million in Turkey, in the refugee camps there. Now we have migrants, I think. We can say that 80% of those who are coming now to Europe, they are migrants. Because the original refugees, they are still inside Syria or inside the refugee camps in Syria, in Turkey, in Jordan, in Lebanon, and others. And I think European Union and the countries of the European Commission especially, they must now to make this difference between the refugees and economic migrants. Because we have from last week, we have the law from regulation from the German government, and which is they accepted in the Bundestag, that the migrants, they will return them back. I think this is the right way to return the migrants back if we know that they are not refugees. If we know that they are economic, we can to have the model of the Gulf states. It means I am talking now about the states of Gulf Cooperation Council. This is Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Qatar and Bahrain. It means if you come, you must have resident permission and then work permission, and then you will get a job and you will live in our country.
Okay, let's take a look a few years ago. At that time, we learned that most migrants wanted to reach European Union across Mediterranean in overloaded boats. The truth is that is still happening, but it is in the shadow of a Balkan route. When the first sea wave started, EU agencies had a success, but now it seems they lost the edge. Is that a sign EU cannot handle a problem with migrants anymore?
I think they handle with the migrants. This is the problem they know that will happen with this, because everybody know that we have in the last year about 600,000 refugees in Greece, in the refugee camps there. And Germany know very well this. And I think when the Chancellor Angela Merkel told the media, she didn't invite, she only told that they are welcoming as a democratic state for all the refugees which are coming from Syria. But now we see that something is happening inside Greece. It means Greece is begin at before 1 month to make some reorganization in the refugee in their refugee camps. It means please go toward north. It means go to Macedonia, Serbia, and then toward European Union. Because if we go to the Dublin also, we are talking about Schengen, about the Dublin regulation. These refugees, which we have, as I told you, about 600,000, they are inside Schengen area. They are inside Greece. And I think here is very important to European Commission now to deal with this. They can also to resolve also this problem to make, I didn't know, to make not flights only, also they come by train, a transit from one Schengen country, which is Greece, and to another Schengen state, which is Slovenia or Italy or France or Belgium, I didn't know. But they can to resolve this problem and to make this transit more easier for the Balkan countries.
Yes, we could see Germany invited people from Middle East to join one of the most powerful economies. Could that be that with that act Angela Merkel opened Pandora's box? I mean, if we can see all the migrants, they are just looking and seeking for Germany.
Now look, if we look to the number of the foreigners in Germany, is 8% of the population. It's not a lot. And when they got, I don't know, 500,000, it will be 8.4 or 8.5. It's not, I think, a problem for the German economy. This is the first. The second point, we must know that Germany, most of Germany, they are Protestants, like Sweden, like northern countries, and Protestantism accept refugees. And for the refugees, is more easier to integrate in society which is a Protestant. I am not talking now against the Catholics, but it's more easier inside the Protestants. This is the first fact. The second, I think that the German economy, they are needing this population, this a workforce, this a labor force, and as we know that from the German statistics is talking, in this year, Germany will have 0.25% growth. This is from the refugees. And the next year, they expect here about 3%, the growth, only for the coming of the refugee, because when the refugee came there, he get a job, and he will pay for the pension fund and for the other and social and health, I didn't know. But here it means something is happening here, and this is more dynamic to the economy in Germany.
Yes, but the way we are looking now is quite huge. And is there any possible opinion from yourself, of course, if there is any chance to slow down that big wave we are facing in, let's say, in Serbia, in Croatia, in Slovenia, and as well as Austria?
I think from my view here as institute which are we dealing with this, I think we can expect in the next month another waves of the refugees. And for this reason, we saw that yesterday in Brussels they didn't make a position for how to deal with this crisis. I think European Union now need management of this crisis. The crisis management is more important. And in this crisis management, they can to help Greece there, to help Greece, the refugees in Greece, to reintegrate in Greece. The second is no-fly zone over Syria. If you have a no-fly zone, it means you have a safe haven and the refugees, they didn't come here. We have from the history when the Americans make a no-fly zone over the Iraqi Kurdistan in 1991. And we saw at that time the Kurds got de facto autonomy and the refugees didn't come toward Europe, but stay inside Iraqi Kurdistan. This is very important to Europe to deal with this, not inside Europe, but outside Europe. It means from the country of the origin. It means Syria, from Iraq, from Afghanistan.
And the last question, if predictions are correct, in next decades Europe will be completely different regarding residents. Could that mean different cultures and religions can work together, or it is already a beginning of a new world crisis?
Yes, now we are in the point of the integration. Yes, it's very, very, very difficult. Why? Because I am afraid that they can't to integrate because we have 3 million Turks in Germany. Still, they are not exactly integrated in the German society. This is a problem. And we have the same in Sweden. We have there. And we have now two ways. The first is to wait this third generation, it means after 100 years, and to have their children to integrate. And the second is the model of the integration which have Israel. Because as we know in Israel they have Ministry of Integration. But let's to say that in Israel it's only for Jews which are coming from all the world. And the integration is very difficult. And we go not only in Germany, in all Europe. If you go to France, you have from the former colonies, which they come, they are Francophones, but still they are not integrated in the German society. This is a big problem, and I think that every country must deal with this more serious here.
Mr. Bakhtiar Aljaf, thank you for your time and for your words.
Thank you very much also.